All right, everyone, we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming and welcome to our inaugural event for the Women in Construction group here at Thompson Consulting Engineers. We're super excited to kick off our speaker series here with you all today, and definitely thank you to Laura for being our guinea pig. For those of you who don't know, my name is Celia Polman, and I'm a mechanical engineer with Thompson Consulting Engineers in our Virginia Beach office. We design mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems for a wide range of projects, but we specialize in K through 12, higher education, and municipal projects. I've worked with Thompson for just over 5 years. And before that, I was in Indianapolis for a short period of time after graduating from Purdue University. And since this is our first event, I would like to share an introduction of the Thompson Women in Construction group. Throughout my education and career so far, I've learned how just integral having a professional support system is in keeping women participating and successful in historically male-dominated fields like engineering and the construction industry. And I personally believe that including the viewpoints and insights of women in such fields only serves to better and improve the quality of work and the companies and industry as a whole. And so with that, when I started at Thompson, it was just myself and Stephanie, who's on the call today. We were the only women doing engineering work in the office. And as Thompson has grown and expanded, we've also grown our numbers of women engineers. And I saw a great opportunity to create a support group aimed at the personal and professional development and growth and success of both the current and future women at Thompson Consulting Engineers. And then as we started developing this group and figuring out what it was going to be, and we're still doing that, we saw the need to broaden our reach to include everybody here today. Women in other engineering disciplines, other areas of the construction industry, and beyond. Hopefully it'll grow and continue to grow. So we are kicking off this conversation and sharing of insights with our speaker series, which we look to do at approximately a monthly basis. And we plan to host and participate in many other events to come in the future. And we look forward to seeing how the group can grow and blossom. So that brings me to today's event. I'll just give a quick rundown of how things are going to go, and then I'll introduce our speaker. So first, we will have a discussion on some pre-planned topics. And if, as we're going through that discussion, any questions or follow-up items pop into your head, you can feel free to type that up in the chat or the Q&A section. And Megan's helping us out on the IT side, and she'll let us know. She'll pop up and ask those questions for you. But then as we go along, we'll end maybe about 12:40 or so. That'll be the aim. And so we can have 20 minutes of an open Q&A session for audience questions. You can go ahead and unmute yourself, raise a hand. If you still want to type in the chat, that's also welcome. Just feel free to participate as much as you can. Okay, so please welcome me or join me in welcoming our first speaker, Laura Anderson. Laura, thank you so much. So a little bit about Laura. She began her career in 2015 after graduating with a BS in civil engineering from Michigan State University. She was hired by Kimley-Horn to work out of their Richmond office, and she has loved seeing the city develop over the past 8+ years. As a project manager and civil engineer, Laura is responsible for all aspects of project delivery, including client coordinating, budget development, scheduling, staff management, site and civil design, construction plans, quality assurance, and field engineering. The list goes on and on. We all know, right? So her project experience is wide-ranging. It includes mixed-use retail, multifamily, senior living, hotel, office, industrial projects with local developers and even national clients. And she's also served as the Women's Forum leader in the Kimley-Horn Richmond office for 4 years and is a member of Crew Richmond, serving on that board since 2020. She was on Crew Network Emerging Leaders Council in 2022 and is currently on the Multifamily Council. Laura has attended the Crew Network of Emerging Leaders retreat in 2023, and she expressed that the crew is the place she knows she'll always feel welcomed, supported, heard, and inspired, and we hope that we can also bring that feeling here today. Laura aims to take everything that she learns and experiences at Crew back to her cohort at Kimley-Horn office and also share it with her female peers and partners in the industry. And we'll hopefully take some insight from her on that today as well. In addition to her day job at Kimley-Horn, Laura is also a fitness instructor. She teaches Zumba classes at local gyms in Richmond, which sounds like a lot of fun. And she's a mom to 3 fur babies. She got 1 puppy and 2 little kitties. Um, Laura also enjoys traveling with her boyfriend. They make it a goal to see a new city or country every year, at least. And they've got plans to visit South Korea this year in March and a cruise in Alaska in July. So I know that was a lot. Thank you all for bearing with me. Laura, thank you so much for taking time with us today and welcome. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, that was a great intro, Celia. Thank you so much. And I'm just so appreciative that you have the support from, your peers in your company to kind of spearhead something like this. I just think this is fantastic. I'm glad we're reaching a pretty large geography of members today where people are coming from and listening in. I definitely want this to be, a learning experience for everybody. I don't feel like I am any authority on anything. I am just sharing my experiences and what I found to be successful for me and help me pave my professional career. So I'm super humbled to be able to speak with you all today. And I would love to, answer any questions people have. And, I'm just one person who's trying their best and taking it a day at a time. So I'm excited to be a part of this today.
Yeah, thank you. And we love that. We definitely all grow just from learning. Everyone's experiences are different and something that you've gone through can help somebody else as well. So we're glad to have you here. Let's start it off. Just tell us a bit about yourself, your interests, how you got where you are now, what drew you to your field, anything you want us to know about you and your career.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for your intro, Celia. I think that captured a lot of just my, the day-to-day stuff that I do at Kimley-Horn in regards to responsibilities and kind of the types of projects I've worked on. Um, and I did want to lead this conversation a little bit with just a super short story I have that was from the beginning of my college experience. And a lot of times I get asked this question of how did you, get to where you are in your career? And, it's a long journey. Nothing happens overnight. And so I have the story I want to share because it's something that I always go back to whenever those kinds of questions are asked. And so I wanted to share this with you all and just from my experience, and maybe it'll resonate with some of you. So Celia said, I went to Michigan State University. So I'm originally from Chicago. So I was going to an out-of-state school, and just, for financial reasons, I knew I had to graduate with a degree in 4 years. I didn't have an option to extend that. I needed to do it in 4 years. And during that time, I also had a goal of studying abroad as well. Michigan State has a great study abroad program. I also got a minor in Spanish. So, 4-year engineering degree, minor in Spanish, study abroad. How are we going to do that in 4 years? That sounds like a lot. So, I had this plan. I had it all outlined and mapped out. And I went to my college counselor, fall of my freshman year, very early. I was so prepared. I had this like green binder, and it was like Michigan State Engineer. Like, I'll never forget it. It was all organized. I went to meet him. I was excited, and I was like, I have this plan. This is what I'm going to do. I outlined the classes I want to take. This is how I want to break it down. Want to study abroad during the summer, and then add in my classes for Spanish to get that minor as well. And I'm going to do it in 4 years. And he basically was like, no, I don't think that's gonna work. I don't think that's gonna happen. And I was just like, what do you mean? Like, I have this plan. Like, and so I tell that story, and my brain always goes back to that because I did graduate in 4 years with my BS and my minor, and I had an amazing summer studying abroad in Ecuador. And I did do that all in 4 years. And my point to that is it was not easy. And I've personally experienced that through hard work, the consistency of simply just showing up every day and doing the best job you can and just trying your absolute best, what you're capable of consistently every day can really lead to some great sustained accomplishments and success. And so that's been, 4 years. It wasn't easy, but
Yeah.
I really like to tell that story because it was truly one of those moments where I'm like, this is what showing up every day and trying your best can really accomplish.
Mm.
And that is something that I've really stuck to throughout now my post-college professional career for the last, 8.5 years. And that's just a theme of something that's really resonated with me and what I've found to lead to some really great opportunities and professional accomplishments.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, maybe you can expand a bit on how you feel like you've implemented that in your day-to-day, in your professional career now.
Yeah, absolutely. So being a civil engineer, I'll just say, I was always one of those folks who felt like I did have to work harder to be where my peers were at. I don't want to say I was never naturally smart because, like, sure, I really liked math and science, so like I had some of that going for me. But I always felt for a while, especially I'll just say even my first like 0 to 4 or 5 years
Mhm.
working professionally, I just always felt like I had to you know do things 2 or 3 times more than my peers just to get it, and things took me longer. And um I was just like, you got to just keep going, keep trying, um find folks who you trust that can help you, um and one day you'll go, oh, there are like a lot of things that I do know what I'm doing. um and it doesn't have to happen overnight. It won't happen overnight. um but having that feeling, having that tenacity almost
Mhm.
of where things didn't just come easy. I had to work hard. I, took the PE twice. I'm People are like, oh, you don't want to say that. I took the PE twice. I'm fully capable of doing my job and
Yeah.
sealing plans, and that was an area where I really had to show a lot of tenacity. And were there days where I'm like, oh my gosh, can I do this? And you absolutely can. Um, you just take it a day at a time and show up, and that's a huge part of it. It's just being there and showing up.
Yeah, I think that kind of folds really nicely into a discussion that I've had a lot with my cohorts about developing that confidence in yourself, in your work, and like you mentioned, like knowing, oh, wait, I do know what I'm doing. I have that confidence in my design. I did this for a reason, right? And feeling like some of our cohorts, that will come more naturally too. Or maybe we have to, as women, prove ourselves a little bit harder and stronger, to just know that yes, I do this correctly. I'm confident in what I've done. Um, what what was your experience in developing that confidence, and maybe some advice for the younger engineers who are still in that state of not being sure?
Yes, absolutely. This resonates with me a lot because people can see me now, or they see me now and are like, oh, you talk so confidently about this or whatever. And it's like, well, hold on, that took a lot of time to get there. And I know that's not the fun answer of like, oh, it's just going to take time.
Yeah.
So
It's not going to happen overnight.
So it definitely does. And so I'll say in our industry, I think of confidence, or I think of it as two parts. And I think they play together a lot. We have to be competent as to an extent. And so I almost think of focusing, especially in your earlier years in your professional world, focusing on gaining your competence and that technical foundation and really understanding a lot of that is going to make it, I think, that much easier to show and display more confidence as you progress in your career. Because so I've done that stormwater analysis 1,000 times. Like, I know how to do that. Or, that utility, design for sewer, whatever it may be. You've done it enough. You've repeated those skills where you have that competence, where then you can speak with confidence about it and you know what you're talking about. So the competence piece is one. And then I also think that focuses more on what you're trying to convey, whereas there's another piece of like, how do you actually present yourself? That's a separate kind of branch in the confidence tree of, okay, I do know what I'm talking about, but if I have to go up and talk to all those people in front of this crowd, that makes me really nervous. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I know this stuff, but how do I actually present that? And so I think those are two different skills that are super important that you can think about of, let me focus on the learning piece, and then let me focus on more of the like interpersonal. How do I actually then explain this to somebody in a client meeting or a pre-bid meeting, whatever it may be.
Right.
And so I think, again, work ethic for me was a big piece of just what helped for me to grow those skills, because I've always been a hard worker and I was self-aware enough to know, hey, I need to really have done these things probably 2 or 3 times more than maybe some of my peers to really feel that confidence of I do know what I'm talking about. So, and find a buddy, find a peer or a mentor who is somebody you trust or look up to, and just, it takes a lot of confidence to say, hey, I just need help. And I think that's really, people appreciate that when you, when you say, hey, I need help, and you're then asking somebody, hey, can you help me with this? Or I look up to you. Can you help me navigate this challenge or this situation? So that's maybe a little bit of advice that I have for you guys. And then also, as uncomfortable as it may be, you got to put yourself outside of your comfort zone. Don't go and do something crazy solo. If you're like, hey, I really want to join a professional organization, do a little bit of research, see what kind of other peers in your industry are going to different events. Bring a buddy. Don't just, find the next email that pops up. Let me go to this thing and go solo. Cause that, I wouldn't even do that today. Like that feels scary to me. The point being, you have to do little things that maybe make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, and that will help you grow. And the next time you do it, it gets easier. The next time it gets easier and easier, to where, we talked about that I'm a member of crew. Crew is really important to me. I know we have some ladies from crew on this call today, and that was an environment where the first handful of meetings I went to, it's scary. You walk in and you're like, it feels like everybody knows each other, but everybody's super nice. But how do I still go up and talk to somebody I don't know? And just the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And then you're going to be that person where that younger analyst or whatever is like, hey, can you come to this meeting with me? Like, I want to try this and I'm a little nervous. Then you'll go, when did that, when did that happen? So hopefully that resonates with some people.
Yeah, definitely. It just seems like repetition, practice, and practice until you're comfortable. And even if you're not comfortable, putting yourself out there anyways. And kind of wrapping into that, we also had a lot of discussion about how you prepare for that meeting ahead of time. What do you do beforehand, or, self-talk kind of stuff, whatever you're preparing in order to be able to present and feel comfortable in what you're saying. And other than just practicing and going to do presentations more often where you get the hang of it, is there any prep work that you do ahead of time that you feel is really useful and helps you out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you already said, Celia, it is practice, like times 3, times 10. And like I said before, practice how you are going to be expressing yourself and presenting something in addition to the no,
Mhm.
like we've talked about. So, I mean, for me, people don't believe that when I tell them like I'm an introvert, when after I'm doing something where I'm in front of people speaking for a period of time, I need to then go and like hide in a dark room for the next hour and like decompress, which is fine. Everybody has their style. So you mentioned in my intro that I also teach fitness classes. And so
Mhm.
that is something that I think about quite frequently, and that this is just what works for me. But I tell myself, okay, I have the muscle memory to go and teach these Zumba classes. I've been doing this for 7 years. If I can go out in front of a bunch of people I don't know and literally dance around for an hour, I think I can go up in front and talk to you about that. So that's just my personal, that works for me. I don't recommend this to everyone going out and like dancing in the streets unless you would like to. That's fine. Whatever works for you. But um I would just say, in regards to more granular, make some bullet points, make a 2 to 3 slide PowerPoint that doesn't have all the things you're going to read off of, but have something that has bullet points. If I'm writing a list, I'll like underline or color something that I'm like, I really want to make sure I hit this point. Um, and again, like ask someone you trust to say, like, hey, can I just practice presenting
Mm.
this
Mhm.
piece to you for like 5 minutes in front of a real person, in front of the mirror, in front of your dog, something that is like you're where you're supposed to be. You're talking about what you need to say, so that when the real moment arrives, you feel a little bit that more ready. That doesn't mean you
Mhm.
won't be nervous. That's completely normal. Um, but you know, it might be cringy. Record yourself. That's always uncomfortable to go back and watch. But then you go, like I had a training last year uh that was on like consulting skills, and we actually did have to record ourselves doing like a 2-minute unprepared speech. And this is literally my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
And so it was okay, but what I noticed with me is my arms were like, I was talking with my
Mm.
hands and my arms a lot, flailing unnecessarily. And so I'm like, okay, I try and think about, all right, my hands are going to be here, or under the table, however you are. And so stuff like that can be really uncomfortable to go back and watch, but can actually be super insightful to
Mm.
see, oh, am I saying a lot? Am I doing some unconscious thing that you can say, all right, I'm going to be a little bit aware of this. So when I'm going into present, I can feel that much more professional and confident and ready. Um, those are, and I think you mentioned self-talk as
Yeah.
well, Celia, of just just speak nicely, to yourself, like gas yourself up a little and say like, I'm having a great hair day, or, wear something that you feel already that much more confident in, whatever that may be. Those things, people can always tell when I'm going to like a marketing event, because they're like, oh, you're
Mhm.
dressed nice today. I'm like, do I normally not? Like, but it's those little things that you find work for you.
Yeah, great. I think that resonates a lot. And ironically, the Zumba class stuff does for me as well. I grew up doing ballet performances a ton, and I've never thought about transferring that confidence in dancing in front of a huge audience of people that I've never met into talking to people at work who I do know.
Yeah,
That's the other side of it too. There are people that you've had at least some contact with, so they're not complete strangers either, and I think that can bring a bit of comfort as well.
exactly. And I think we're about like halfway. I can't see a chat, so I
Um,
wanted to just ask if we
and
had any
Megan, do we have
questions.
any questions pop up yet? Or if anybody has any questions so far, you can feel free.
I
Yeah,
have not seen it. Sorry to interrupt you, Laura. I have not seen anything pop up in the Q&A or the chat as of yet. And if anybody feels comfortable jumping in, I mean, as long as the ladies are good with it, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, if nobody has any questions, I mean, if you do, write it in the chat. I think that should be open to everybody. There's also a Q&A function. Um, but we will kind of shift gears, I guess. I was wondering, Laura,
I
what
think I,
was
s-
oh,
I think
do
I
you have a
actually just see one that came
oh,
up.
yes. Bev is asking, what is crew? Yeah, can you go into that a little
Oh,
bit
I
and
love
explain
that
it?
question. I love talking about crew. So crew stands for Commercial Real Estate Women. We have a handful of other ladies on the call who are members of our Richmond, Virginia chapter. I don't know where you're located, Bev, but there's a coastal Virginia chapter of crew. There's Northern Virginia, DC chapter, just for the Virginia region. But there's over 100. I might get my stats wrong, but basically there's a crew chapter in pretty much like every state. We have several in other countries as well. So commercial real estate, women, your coastal Virginia, perfect. So there's a coastal Virginia chapter that you could definitely look into. We have a few Richmond members that are both coastal Virginia and Richmond chapter members. It is truly a space where I feel so much support from women in our industry, both at my local Richmond chapter level, and there's a national network level. So once you become a member of your local chapter, you're automatically a member of like the network level, which is really cool. So then you have so many other resources you could take advantage of from they do webinars all the time. They have so many different conferences, leadership summits, professional development, even something as simple as like I want to I want to do some outreach for folks at a local university near me. How can I do that? And they have like a playbook on how to do that. They offer a ton of scholarships to college students. I could talk for the next half an hour about them, but I won't. So it's an awesome organization. I'm happy to introduce you to Coastal Virginia members, Bev, if you're interested, to connect you to some of those folks, or just talk more about crew. So thank you for asking that question.
Yeah, we could definitely get like maybe some links from you or a blurb or something and send it out to the group after as well, so everyone has access to
That'd be
that.
awesome.
Yeah. We have another question from a couple of them. So first question, please talk about life or work balance, especially for people with children. Unfortunately, I don't think either of us have children, so we might not really be able to speak to that fully, but go ahead and expand, and we'll make sure that that's something we talk about in the future too. Yeah.
Yes, I firmly believe that's a really important topic. I personally don't have children, but I think that you can't say, oh, just because you don't have kids doesn't mean you can't leave work for other priorities. And so for me, other priorities are I have to go teach another class. I have to go pick up my dog at daycare still. Like I need to spend time with the people I enjoy spending time with outside of work. So I think regardless of what your priorities are outside of work, you still need to find whatever balance works for you. So, I mean, for me personally, I am more of a morning person. So I enjoy getting into the office early so that I can leave a little bit earlier. And that just works for me. I live and breathe by my calendar. So if I don't have, go to this, fitness class, go to this happy hour, go get dinner with your neighbor. If that's not in my calendar, it is much less likely to happen. So I have personally found success and been able to hold myself accountable for not just working all hours of the day because I have in my calendar, go do these things that are not at work and disconnect. I don't know what your work situation is who asked that question, but I am physically in an office every day. So that does personally help me separate those two worlds. And I know we're in a more blended world now, but for me, I like coming to an office and I like being able to then leave the office and separate those two.
Yeah, I think a lot of people saw that balance kind of change and get thrown into chaos during COVID when we started working from home. I know I did, and I would start working and working and working until suddenly it's 9 o'clock at night, and I'm like, why am I still doing my work? Like just because it's there and I feel compelled to. So it definitely was harder for me to make that separation without going in person into the office. I don't know if you saw a shift during COVID or if you were working in the office the whole time. But yeah, that was definitely the calendar. I could see being very helpful with that.
Yeah, and I think to who asked that question, for folks that I work with who do have kids, I appreciate just the communication of I'm leaving at 3:30, Tuesday, Thursday, every week. That's what I'm doing because that's what I need to do to pick up my kid. And so that I appreciate that as a partner in our office. And I think having a good means of communication and people saying going to get my kid is just as important as me leaving to go to the gym or to, go do whatever, go for a run, whatever it is that is important to you. If everyone can normalize that, I think a little bit more and say, I'm just letting you know when I'm here and when I'm not. You can text me if you need something, if you're comfortable with that, or don't even think about talking to me if I'm not in the office. So I think just having an open communication with your team and where everybody understands everyone's boundaries is important. Hopefully that helps a little bit with your question, but
yeah, I actually might expand on that with another question too. So since we are generally in a very male dominated field, have you seen maybe with other people in your office who have children, a difference in behavior or career opportunities based on if women are more likely to be the ones going home to take care of the kids, that can create some issues there. Have you seen any of that happening
I will say two things. I will say there are, just because you are having a baby or have little kids, I do not see those folks not getting the same opportunities as the men that are still in the office every day. What I will say though, and if someone disagrees with me, you are more than welcome to, because this is just my opinion. And this is what I've seen at my company. You will still get the same opportunities. You will not be at any kind of disadvantage. The biggest difference I see is sometimes the pace at which you are moving in your career. That if you have two people who are 30, one is having their first kid and as a female, and you have the 30-year-old male who is not, I think the pace at which they will move in their career will be different. and I think that's okay because your
Yeah.
priorities are different for those two different people. So I think as long as you're in a place in the company that supports you through the time that you're having kids and is still providing you opportunities that you're happy with and that you're excited about and that are still great opportunities, I think that's okay because you're making a choice
Yeah.
that's what you want to do in that time of your life, which is wonderful. So okay,
Yeah.
let that person have an office 2 years before you. I don't, I don't know. That's just my
Right.
thoughts on it. And I think that's okay. Like, it's all about your personal life choices. And if you're with a company that is supportive of you and having those conversations, is where I think the value is that we're talking about it and everyone's not just like talking about it in secret. Like, let's openly talk about, are we being fair? Are we giving people the same opportunities is really what I think it comes down to.
Yeah, no, I think you're right on that. And I'll say personally, what I've seen at Thompson has been really great. Like they're very open to anybody going to go pick up their kids, and we all talk about it in the office. Someone's like, "Oh yeah, I've got to go get my kid from soccer practice at 4 o'clock or something," and it's kind of common throughout everybody. And so once that's, everyone's comfortable sharing that kind of information, and then everyone knows where you are, and yeah, that's great. We do have a couple compliments from Joe and Judy. Thank you both.
Thank you
Appreciate you all
guys.
being here. And Nora has added that it's also helpful to remember, going back to confidence in speaking, that most people are nervous about speaking in public. And if you present confidently, even if you don't feel confident, you will likely blow people away. And I think that's a great point. Like, you don't have to actually feel confident to come off as confident.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I think, let's see, we're almost at the time where we'll open up to Q&A, but I do have one more question that I'd like to bring to you. What has been both your greatest challenge in your career, and then conversely, your greatest support? Like that can be a person or a thing, doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I think I touched on this a little bit of just blunt, not feeling smart enough. Always feeling behind technically, or like that has been very challenging. Talked about taking the PE twice.
Mhm.
Just the getting that technical foundation and really being able to say, like, I know this, I know what I'm doing, has been probably the greatest challenge. And I can confidently say I am genuinely so proud of myself to getting where I am due to my personal hard work and just time. And I love the word tenacity. I feel like it, and
Yeah.
resilience, and just those moments where you go, gosh, I just don't know if I can do this. Am I ever going to get this? Is it ever going to click? Will I ever be able to do this thing that's difficult, that I want to do well, but like, can I? I think getting through those conversations with yourself, once you do, it's pretty exciting. And I think we're all very capable of doing that. It's just, put in the work, put in the time. What is your goal? What do you want to do? And put in the time to get there. I would say that, yeah, the am I smart enough?
Yeah.
That am I blank enough? Whatever it is, we say to ourselves that we very much are enough of anything. So I would say that's my greatest challenge. My greatest support. So we are all obviously in a very male dominated industry, but I will say I've had some senior mentors who are men in my office who have just been so supportive. And I think back to, oh my gosh, how did you like tolerate me when I was like 23, coming out really not knowing it, like not actually knowing anything, and just their patience with me, and them also in taking the time and investing in me and my growth and success. Is something that I'm so appreciative of. And I like to, I tell a couple of them, like, I know I wouldn't be where I'm at in my career right now without the support from them.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you know, give yourself more credit than that. Like, I didn't do anything, but being able to find those couple people who are a true mentor, formally or informally, but the people who you're like, gosh, they really always just make me feel better, or really just always help me think about something in a new perspective that is so helpful. Keep going back to those people, because you'll have new problems, you'll have new challenges, and they'll probably still have ways to keep helping you. So I would say some of my senior mentors here. And I think part of this conversation as well is it's important for us to have our female allies and be able to have these conversations where we feel like we're in a safe space amongst other women in our industries. But then I do firmly believe at the same time, we need our male counterparts to also be our advocates, and support us and speak up for us in space. We can do it for each other all day, and it's amazing. But we want the men to be our support systems as well.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit beforehand, and it's true. Like, in order for us to move the industry forward and have better opportunities for women, the men also have to be involved and understanding. So, yeah, absolutely. Well, I think now is a great time to open it up to audience Q&A. Yeah, if there's any other questions or anything that anybody wants to share or add to the conversation, maybe, we mentioned we didn't have children. Maybe there's somebody on the call who has that experience and advice. We'll open up the floor. You can go ahead and unmute yourself as you'd like.
Am I gonna have to call on people?
I
Just kidding. I won't do that to you guys. I won't do that to you.
I'll give you my perspective. My name is Stephanie Golembeski, and I'm with Froling and Robertson. And I have a little more years of experience than Laura does. But so let me go ahead and turn my camera on too, so you guys can see me. I'll just say that I was, kind of talking to people about the whole work-life balance thing for a lot of years, and someone finally said to me, "There's no such thing." And I said, "What do you mean? I've been striving for this for so long, that can't be possible." And they said, "It's just not ever going to be a balance. There are times when your job is going to be really stressful, and that's going to have to be a priority. And then there are times when, you might have a personal issue in your life, and that's going to take up more time than you had allotted it to do." And so what I've learned is that you have to give yourself grace, because there are times where, I'm not going to be the best mother, or I'm not going to be the best friend, or I'm not going to be the best sister, or the best wife, or the best coworker. And you just have to understand that that's just part of being a human. And, you're pulled in so many different directions. And, unfortunately, sometimes things are going to take priority, and it might not be what you had planned. But just giving yourself a little bit of, like I said, grace, and just understanding that, that's just going to be a time, and that's going to shift. And then you'll be able to focus back on maybe what you think is the best priority at that time.
Thank you, Stephanie. That was wonderful. Stephanie's also on the board of Crew Richmond with me, and she's amazing. So just another shout out for Crew. And these are the kind of people we get to spend time with all the time.
Laura, I can jump in also.
Hi, Leanne.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leanne Goodorp. I'm a senior project manager at Timmons Group, also a civil engineer, a very similar responsibilities that Laura has. And I'm the incoming 2024 Crew Richmond president. So Laura, Stephanie, and I are all on the board together. And I will chime into about the work-life balance because I do not have children. And I have struggled over the years of probably tipping the work-life balance too much on work and not enough on life. And I think what I've learned is you need to set your own personal boundaries, as hard as that sounds, of like Laura, I'm very calendar oriented. So if you have an after work gym class or appointment, treat it as a client meeting, book it on your calendar and stay accountable to it. And also myself being a people pleaser, saying no and meaning it is also some advice of trying not to overextend yourself. It's a delicate balance. Like, but Stephanie, you're right. There isn't a balance. It's there'll be different stages in your life, but so that's it for my end.
Thank you,
Thank
Leanne.
you.
That was
Sure.
great.
And do we see if we have anyone else
Hi,
asking
ladies.
questions?
I'm Joe Brooks.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, I work at Guernsey Hingle Architects, and I'm at a different place in my career. I'm almost done. And I love that the young people in this forum and the other ladies in this forum that all are in a different stages in their career are talking about these topics. They're important, setting boundaries, giving yourself grace. It's a beautiful way of putting it. But I will say that I have worked, well, a long time in the male dominant industry. And as time has gone on, I have seen that there is a much better culture in our overall industry, in construction, architecture, engineering, design, preservation. There's a big cultural turn. And I think that a lot of people in the industry realize that when a woman walks into the room, she's capable. She's ready to be there. She's confident, and she knows what she's bringing to the table. And I think 25 years ago, that was not the case. And so I just want you to know how proud I am of the next generation of people that are in this industry, because you guys are wonderful and you are strong and you are capable and you're smart. And so don't ever let anyone take that away. So set your goals, give yourself grace, be kind to yourself, and remember that you know what you know. And don't ever let anyone take that away from you, even if it feels like they're going to. Shut it down, because you guys are really doing a big thing with these types of forums for everyone that's listening to understand that you're not by yourself.
Mhm.
And you got this.
Yeah, thank you. And I think one of the big goals that I have with starting this group is to continue to improve on that and continue the good momentum that we've had and change that we've had over the past 25 plus years. So thank you. Appreciate that. And I think ending on that note, I'd like to thank everyone for joining. Thank you, Laura, so much for participating, being our guinea pig. I really think you provided some great insights for us all. And we look forward to hopefully having everyone join on future speaker forums and maybe other events that we put on as well. Yeah, we really appreciated it. If anyone wants to be a speaker in the future or contact me with any questions about the group or events or anything, we'll put my email. Let me put it in the chat right now, actually. And then, sorry, my camera is down by my keyboards.
Celia, this was awesome. Again, I just really appreciate it. I love so much what you're doing. So yes, please let this group know when the next one will be, and I'd love to see this group keep growing. I'm looking forward
Absolutely.
to seeing what happens next.
Yeah, we're very excited to see what comes next. And like I said, if anyone wants to contact me, my email's in the chat there. This meeting was recorded, so I believe it'll send out a recording to everyone who attended after the event. And we'll also be planning on posting it up on our YouTube once that develops. I don't know, Megan, maybe you have some extra stuff to say about that. Feel free.
Everything you said was correct.
All right, great.
The system, once we publish the recording, should send it to everybody who registered. And then, yes, it will be up on our YouTube channel, say in a few days. And if you follow Thompson on our social pages, you will be posting snapshots and little clips of it there on as well. So.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And we hope to see everybody again soon.
Thanks, Celia.
Have a great rest
Thanks,
of your day.
everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.